speak a little bit louder.
Louder?
That's Lauren's job. I'll get it.
Can you hear me now?
Louder.
A little louder yet? There you go? There, okay. All right, I went to Catalina Island in May and I was really sneaky. I have been chased with my camera by people who don't want their pictures taken. Particularly I was in Charleston and I had some basket weavers and I kept waiting for them to be in an interesting position to take a photo, and finally they did, and I go, gotcha, and they stood up and they started running after me, don't you take our picture? And I ran into this jewelry shop, and the guy says, I said, boy, I didn't know it was such a big deal to take their picture, and he says, well, it's a lot easier if you buy a basket and then you ask to take their picture. Oh, so I've learned to feed animals, get their pictures, different things. A little bribery goes a long way. But this time in Catalina Island, I just held my camera down here and secretly took pictures of people. And I found these gals with their ice cream scoops, and I was really interested in making a painting with them. I did some sketches. In my sketches, like I always tell people, I had a job for Blue Cross Blue Shield and for 6 paintings in Fargo, and I said, well, my paintings look a lot better than my sketches. And then I showed it to him, and he says, why would you even bother to show anybody that? But these are for me, and that's what I tell myself. So this was a draft where it's very probably hard for anybody to tell, but I arranged the shapes for communication. And I knew what I wanted to paint these gals. I had them right here in the foreground, and I kind of cut them off, so I wasn't too pleased with all that stuff. And this is probably really hard to tell, but it really helped me a lot. I moved them up into the picture plane, so I got more of their body, and I put the values on to see if this is even gonna work. So I just put a mid-tone gray over parts of it to simplify, if you can believe that simplification. But this helped me know this whole painting will work. I even showed it to my husband. He's really funny. He's a contractor, a total left-brainer. And we travel, and I bring a pile of photographs on the plane. And I've been doing this forever. We've been married 32 years now, So.
I thought you were only 22.
Yeah, thank you. I like you. So I had, so we had this, I'm sitting there and I have a picture, and I notice he's actually watching me. And I paint a lot of my whites in to a picture first. I call it coloring the whites, because I want that glow of color in the whites. So I did it early because I noticed if I have big crowds, it's hard for you guys to see across the room me coloring the whites. I learned that one time. Anyhow, so I have colored some of the trees in. I have a building here. This is an ice cream shop to go with the ice cream ladies. I found that in here. And lots of people. And the people are kind of arranged diagonally for activity. They also have these little golf carts. They run all over the place. So I put it, so I'm just getting these out. So if you watch my palette when I'm painting, you will miss a lot because I just use this to dip into. It gets to be a big slush pile after a while, but I kind of know where it is. There's some bird sienna. I've really worked on the paints that I like. They've kind of messed me up with, my favorite was the Winsor Newton New Gamboge, and I'm struggling with yellow right now, so it makes me cranky because I haven't found my perfect yellow. What happens, Daniel Smith sold pigments to all these companies, and they took away the New Gamboge from Winsor Newton. So Winsor Newton bought that. This is what the Daniel Smith guy was at our store in Fargo and talking about this. And he didn't say they took it away, but he said we took several paints because we're going to not we're going to sell our own paints. We're not going to sell them through other companies. And you can buy our pigments from us. And the other companies buy the pigments from Daniel Smith. That's their main business, making pigments. So they took them away. And one of them, I ordered a bunch of new gamboge from my workshop, and it looked just like gamboge, which I finally figured out. I kept thinking, does it fade? It doesn't fade. It turns to that ugly, crusty brown color it looks like when you start with, is what it does. So it kind of looks like it faded, but it looks brighter or wet, kind of like a staining pigment might look. Sometimes pigments look different when they're wet. But that one, the new gamboge, have the Daniel Smith new gamboge was really, really strong. So I decided, well, maybe I'll go back to it. And I'm using the roll-in too. Okay. Now this is kind of a distant atmospheric look, so, and you could paint this blue in, get some paint on my brush, for goodness sakes. Doesn't look like. But, you can kind of sculpt. Now that's very opaque, so I can just lighten that. But I wanted to get that color. And I'm going to go around this shape. A lot of people call this negative painting. You know, I could have done it with the light blue first, but I wanted this yellow tones to come through.
How appropriate.
Yes, we can dance to the painting. I used to only listen to classical music when I painted, and I didn't like words. And now I'm doing this acrylic, and I have to stand up on my... I stand up and paint, and so I have rock and roll on it, and I crank it. And I had one customer, I said, well, I'll be painting. If I don't answer the door, I'm cranking it. Just come in. She says, you really do crank it. But it makes me feel like I'm cool when I'm painting. I gotta be cool. I mean, this is not, you know.
So when you paint at home, you paint with watercolor, you sit down?
I do both. I stand and I sit. Depends if I'm in complicated territory.
Okay.
I will sit down. I have my chair handy. Then I'll have to freak out Frank and change the level of my painting if I do that. Is it Frank Zeller?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
as far as I know.
He might be challenged. Oh, he doesn't know for sure. So here is the classic cylinder. The light source is from the right. So I'm going to bring these into this. Looks gonna seem to be, I need to slow down when I'm nervous. I always think I have to go so fast for you guys, but that doesn't really work too good. So whenever I have trouble, you know, of course I never do, I slow down. That's just relax.
Just play rock and roll in your brain and sing it to us.
No, you don't want me to sing. Nobody wants. They ask me to stop. In fact, they had this article on a painting I did that they put in. This lady insisted that the guy write an article on the painting, and it was a choir. And he asked me when I interviewed, he said, well, were you in choir that you painted this? Well, I said, I was in choir, but I'm not a very good singer. I said, in fact, my kids came up to me in church and they said, Mom, we sat by this woman that's even worse voice than you. And I said to the guy who always sits in front of us, I said, I'm not that bad a singer. And he, am I? And he looks. So you put that in the forum. And yeah. So nobody ever asked me to be in the choir. I don't know, I think my choir teacher tried to get me to quit. I got C's. Here my daughter was in choir and I said, maybe you should, that's holding your grade average down. Maybe you should take something you like since you don't like choir. Now here's your tape. So you can go right into that. I gotta watch it though. I gotta get this right. I'm gonna pull this up because of the, I don't want it to leak underneath. These are tubes of cylinders, and we can make them interesting if we want. How can you vary them? This one gets darker at the top.
Do you primarily use a flat brush?
Yes, I'm like addicted to the flat brush too. I have my things. I love this brush. You can double load it, turn it, get different colors out of it.
And what kind of a brush is it?
This is a Winsor Newton Scepter, half synthetic, half sable. Runs between $50 and $49, depending on what's going on with the sable industry. For a while there, I couldn't get them. But this color is more beautiful if you mix it on the paper. Going around my little ice cream guy. Now I think I have to make this one bigger. I'll put some reflected light on this side. Come on. I call these the little ooglies, the little things that bump out. Because I don't want to think about what they are. If you get into that verbal thing, then you're in the right brain, right? Heaven forbid.
Left.
What?
Verbal would be left.
Yeah, that's the left brain, you want to go there.
No. You want to stay on that right side.
However, I found that the left brain is very good at telling you what's wrong with your
You're not
paintings.
kidding. Does it ever?
So you can use it. I have an analog, in my book I have a step-by-step how to solve problems, and it's a left brain technique.
Yeah.
And it works. It's amazing. But definitely, some of those problems make your paintings pretty fascinating. Okay, let's see here. Got some of those in. You can work around things. If you get scared or tired. It seems like it takes a lot of energy to paint. So this is a sphere, kind of, it's more of an oval shaped sphere. So when I'm painting it, it's much easier to paint if I think about that. Then I let the paint do the job. Now you can think about how these shapes end. When they're dark, they really are very critical shapes. So they are big describers. Some really lemony yellows. I might just flop some of these in. Ooh, and over here too. As you see, they call me a loose painter.
I think they're right.
Yeah, I never have trouble making a mess. Now, I might go up here and get some of these mud tones, which I think are very attractive, into this. So I'm going to use some reds with my greens.
Just squint your eyes when you do that?
Squint the
You're
eyes. Yes.
squinting?
Yeah, I'll be squinting. Trying to get leave some sparkle. This is a very different shape, but I find it very attractive. When you have a shape point into your painting, it leads the eye. It's very useful in your composition. So you want to direct people. You want to keep directing people to come back and look at your pictures. Like here is a corner. In corners, you don't want people to look. But you have to make them interesting, but not in the way you don't want to make them look is not having anything point directly or be even on each side. Let's say if this measurement of dark is the same on this side, that becomes a angle pointing, and that's what happens when you point them to the corner is they leave. Then they won't buy your painting. But you have to think about it. I can't blow it off, so. But a lot of this excitement is in the watercolor, is this paint mixing. I have painted a few palm trees. Okay, I love